Welcome back to the news at 10. Governor Tanko Al-Makura of Nasarawa State is asking various tribes affected in the previous crises to return home and participate in the general elections. He also asked them to ensure that they live peacefully. The governor made the comments while commiserating with internally displaced persons in the state.
This tour could well pass as a double-pronged, social and political, as Governor Tanko Al-Makura and his APC campaign team arrive Obi and Dadere towns to commence the resettlement exercise that will facilitate the return of its fleeing inhabitants. The governor, who also presented staff of office to traditional ruler of the town, urged the various tribes to coexist peacefully upon their return, as government has procured relief items to help rebuild their homes.
I'd like to call on all those nationalities living within this chiefdom that have been affected by the unwarranted crisis to kindly consider themselves as lucky to have been alive and to carry peace, to work for peace. Everybody should challenge his or herself as to the kind of role he or she will play in ensuring that this peace is endured.
He takes the occasion to reel out his achievements and projects in the area, using that as a bait to ask for another tenure in office.
The government embarked on the ongoing construction of Obi Township Road and the Al Model School, and equipping of primary healthcare centers and clinics, and also the construction of Ajarugu Doma Road, provision of boreholes, construction of the Dadere Town Water Scheme, and the creation of Dadere development area.
We are solidly behind our governor, His Excellency Tanko Al-Makura, the governor of the people, the people's governor. And you can see his track record, his achievement speaks for him. If the governor is not performing, you won't see the amount of people outside here.
It's a little above 1 month before elections. The recent shift may well suggest more campaign time for those seeking elective office.
The People's Democratic Party candidate for the Anambra Central Senatorial District, Mrs. Uche Ekwunife, has urged communities in Anocha local government area to vote for her, promising them better representation if elected. The highlight of the tour was the commissioning of a transformer and the rehabilitation of an over 5-kilometer road, which she says is just the beginning of more development.
This dance by the woman in Anocha local government is one that ushers in a new beginning. And this ode to the senatorial candidate for Anambra Central Senatorial Zone under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, who is making her mark before elections by providing the community with this transformer and rehabilitating the 5-kilometer stretch of road. Expectedly, the community expresses its gratitude with jubilation, which takes her to the traditional ruler of the town. She is well received.
Let us think about the development of Ndibu. Let us think about our future in Nigerian politics.
The next port of call is a meeting with the entire community, where she reiterates her commitment to service.
I'm looking at my track record, looking at my antecedents, looking at my performance, I have done very well.
And her words are trusted by those who have heard.
A very fine woman, very hardworking. He brought many things for us. Build a school for here, put a street light for us.
As the night falls, the celebration continues. Hopefully, her representation will see the rise of a new dawn. Gimba Umar for Channels Television News.
While staying in Anambra, the state government has distributed checks totaling 420 million naira to 420 schools in the state for the establishment of sick bays and other facilities. The governor also distributed whiteboards to all primary and post-primary schools in the state, in addition to 200 million naira given to 10 mission schools in the state for classroom renovation. The state governor, Willie Obiano, reaffirmed his total commitment to ensuring that schools in Anambra State get the best in infrastructure, welfare packages for the teachers, and conducive learning environments.
A rendition of the Anambra State Anthem by teachers and students that obviously impressed the governor.
This 1 million is for...
The event was a presentation of checks to secondary schools in the state for the establishment of sick bays and school sports development. 160 private and missionary secondary schools and 254 private secondary schools are the beneficiaries of this project. The governor used the opportunity to reiterate his commitment to the infrastructural development, welfare and sanitation of the students and the schools.
You know, hygiene is very important. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and that is very important. I want Anambra students to be the neatest ever.
All schools in the state, primary and secondary, also got whiteboards, while one Mr. Emmanuel Obidigwe got 1 million naira for his outstanding performance as the best graduating student from the University of Ibadan in 2014.
In appreciation of your academic progress, and if you like to work for Anambra State government, you have automatic employment.
The state's Commissioner for Education, Professor Kate Omenuga, recalled some of the efforts of the government towards better study environments for the students.
Some of the things bothering schools, we rank them. Highest on the list was security. And 10 schools are benefiting now from the warning that is going around the investment of the state.
Beyond the education sector, the governor went on a tour of road projects within Orumba North and South. He made a stopover at Mbauku in Oka South local government area to sympathize with a domestic fire incident victim, Mr. Friday Alagbo, where he promised to offset the hospital bills and warned citizens to be careful in handling inflammable materials.
I'll ask people to be more careful the way they treat inflammable materials, you know. I encourage them not to bring in their generator inside the houses.
The governor was received in the Orumba North local government area by the people, soliciting the state government's assistance in tackling the poor road network. Governor Obiano responded with an assurance that the construction of the 11.3-kilometer Ezira-Umuonya-Achina Road would soon begin. When he made his next stop at Ajali in Orumba South, the governor gave a little account of his stewardship. He said that over 25 billion naira has been spent on road construction in addition to interventions in schools, hospitals and other key sectors.
The Lagos State Head of Service, Mrs. Oluseyi Williams, has officially bowed out of public service after putting in 35 years to the state. At a pens down ceremony held in her honor, Governor Babatunde Fashola described the retired HOS as an embodiment of integrity and efficiency, which has added value to policy formation and implementation in the state. Governor Fashola also used the occasion to ask public servants to emulate her virtues of selfless service and hard work.
When I meet people outside now and they tell me that the face of the Lagos State Public Service is changing for the better, I take that compliment with a lot of inward pride, even though I know that the work is not finished. When people commend our law enforcement management, our firefighting capacity, and our public service delivery, I am always quick to remind them that we did not change the policemen. We also did not change the firemen, and we did not change these public servants.
Well, it would have been 3 days to the elections if a change in date did not happen. Several reactions have trailed that postponement of the general elections, but Nigerians are left with no choice but to wait for the new date. On our big story tonight, our political correspondent Seun Okimbaloye looks at some of the issues surrounding the postponement.
The national elections, i.e. Presidential and National Assembly,
are now to hold on March 28, 2015, while the state elections, governorship and state assembly, are to hold on April 11, 2015.
That may not have come as a surprise to many Nigerians, but of course it was news that received a wide range of reactions from the ruling party to the main opposition party.
There were all kinds of issues. Clearly, INEC still has quite a lot to do to get its house in order to ensure that it can conduct a free and fair election on that day. And that's precisely why, when you couple that or marry that to the security concerns that our military chiefs have and our security agencies have, to postpone this election by 6 weeks was the right and proper thing to do.
If for 5 years the Nigerian military cannot secure 14 local governments, 10 in Borno, 2 in Yobe, and 2 in Adama, out of 774 local governments in this country, does that mean it's just a delay tactic? Because in 6 weeks, what they can't do in 6 years, they cannot do it in 6 weeks.
The two parties see the postponement differently. Even the presidential candidates are not on the same page on this. Reactions both locally and internationally trailed the postponement. The US and the UK voiced their perception of the shift in the election dates. The US Secretary of State, Mr. John Kerry, says, I quote, "The United States is deeply disappointed by the decision to postpone Nigeria's presidential election, which had been scheduled for February 14. Political interference with the Independent National Electoral Commission is unacceptable, and it is critical that the government not use security concerns as a pretext for impeding the democratic process." His UK counterpart, Mr. Philip Hammond, wrote, "While we support Nigeria in its struggle against terrorism, the security situation should not be used as a reason to deny the Nigerian people from exercising their democratic rights." Seeking the thoughts of political scientists and analysts on the matter, we first touched base with a political science lecturer at the University of Lagos.
A ruling party under such circumstance will not logically, assuming that human beings are rational beings, will not logically allow election to go on or support election going on without thinking twice, especially because of security.
The umpire may have defended its readiness, blaming security agencies for the shift, but the controversies over the distribution of the permanent voter card may be putting a big question to that defense. Places like Lagos are yet to have up to 50% of registered voters collect their PVCs.
This is the second time I came here now. So the service is on next week Friday. I don't know what is going on.
They're telling me that my fingerprint is not catch well, that I cannot, automatically my card is not print out.
The final date for the distribution has been extended to the 8th of March. The latest figures, according to INEC, reveal that over 70% of PVCs have been distributed. That shows a rise of about 4% in about 2 weeks. It will be Nigeria's 5th election since return to civil rule in 1999. The game appears to have changed and the tide is rising. But is this year's contest in any way different from the past ones?
Contest produces some healthy, which we are not used to, because we are used to imposing on all sides, whether it's in the opposition or the impose. But because the space is now opened up, you can now say, I want to contest.
Very excited because we are really building democracy. We're building democracy because this is about the first time a sitting government will have serious pressure from an opposition.
March 28th and April 11th, these are the new dates, and Nigerians one more time with bated breath anticipate the polls. The power to exercise their civil rights they definitely will want to put to action. For the big story, Sheun Okinbaloye reporting for Channels Television News.
The Shell Petroleum Development Company has commenced a health project in Ulebri, Bayelsa State, which is to be implemented over 3 years. The project, in conjunction with the state government and General Electric, and the managing director of SPDC, says the project is the company's contribution to Nigeria's centenary celebration.
Ogbia local government area in Bayelsa state has an important place in history as the location of the first commercial oil well in Nigeria, discovered by Shell Darcy. 59 years later, Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, has chosen to put back into Aloibiri through a health project which will consist of 4 primary health centers, 1 general hospital, enhanced financial access to care, among other packages.
It is the whole system that we're looking at. So we're looking at the physical structures, we're looking at the equipment, we're looking at the practitioners, their skills, their competencies, their ability to deliver. We're looking at the processes and the procedures that they use and how they engage with their service users. All these things are important in having a good quality health service.
The vision is to be realized through the collaboration work of SPDC with Bayelsa State Government as well as General Electric, acting as the major implementing partner.
This for us is a momentous occasion, and I know that there's a lot to happen today. I just want to sort of congratulate, first of all, the Aloibiri community and really kind of affirm my confidence that that community, the entire local government, is going to support and embrace this project and use this to be not just part of providing enhanced medical facilities, but also, in the area of job creation, which is something that both Shell and GE kind of believe in.
The project is also in conjunction with Aloibiri community, using the community-based health insurance model for sustenance.
We are talking about a sustainable CSR project. In the past, we will see a number of CSR that are not self-sustaining. So this particular one, we are implementing it in a manner that it will self-sustain itself.
Aloibiri Health Project is to be implemented in phases over 3 years. Ini Thompson reporting for Channels Television News.
First Bank. You first.
Hello, welcome to Business News. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The Central Bank of Nigeria and members of the Bankers Committee expect growth in the non-oil sector of the economy to hit 150 billion naira this year. Financial institution CEOs gave this brief to journalists in Lagos after the first edition of the Bankers Committee meeting in 2015. The Central Bank Governor, Dr. Godwin Emefiele, also met with the capital market community to brief them and encourage the operators to stay the course in a vulnerable market. Meanwhile, the federal government's bond auction fell short of its target, attracting low interest among investors who were demanding higher yields. The traders attribute this to continued drop of the naira and also fallen oil prices. The Debt Management Office raised 76.5 billion naira at its bond auction on Wednesday, short of its target amount of 90 billion naira. A total of 34 billion naira was sold in 5-year bond at 15.54%. The 5-year paper was a fresh issue. 25 billion naira was sold in 10-year bond at 15.75%, while 15.5 billion naira was sold in a 20-year bond at 15.85%. Market breadth closed negative at the Nigerian equities market as the all-share index shared 2.73%. Bolaji Akinwale has the detail.
Hello, welcome to the Stock Market Report. Bearish sentiments dominated transaction at the Nigerian Stock Exchange as the key index dipped by 2.73% to close at 27,935.77. The market's capitalization also fell to 9.32 billion naira. The decline was evident in the share of Nestle, which lost 18 naira 50 kobo. It came ahead of Total with 7 naira 22 kobo and then Dangote Cement with a loss of 7 naira. On the advances chart, 40 oil led with 2 naira. It was followed by CCNN with 46 kobo and Como oil with a 40 kobo gain. On the volume table, FBN Holding led the pack with 95.1 million shares. Zenith Bank pulled 72.1 million shares, while Transcorp recorded 49.9 million units of shares. At the close of trade, over 411 million shares were traded at the value of 4.4 billion naira in 3,491 deals. And that's it on the stock market reports. I am Bolaji Akinwale.
Thank you very much, Bolaji. The Central Bank of Nigeria and members of the Bankers Committee expect growth in the non-oil sector of the economy to hit 150 billion naira this year. And financial institution CEOs gave this advice to journalists in Lagos after the first edition of the Bankers Committee meeting in 2015. The Central Bank Governor, Dr. Godwin Emefiele, also met with the capital market community and encouraged operators to stay the course of improving the economy.
The first Bankers Committee meeting held with the CBN Governor, Dr. Godwin Emefiele, in attendance, but his scheduled visits to the Nigerian Stock Exchange withheld him from this briefing. Anchored by the CBN Director for Banking Supervision, Tokunbo Martins, the crux of the meeting, which centers around the state of the economy, is explained in the perspective of the banks.
It was concluded that all the ratios remained satisfactory. For the industry at large, all the banks were, on average, above the regulatory minimum.
Some of the CEOs then stated their involvement in the diversification drive of the economy and the CBN's intervention in the forex market.
We have seen over 75 billion naira increase in non-oil revenues in the prior year, and we expect that this year that'll increase to over 150 billion naira increase. Now, the good news about that is that while there may be some structural challenges historically with the nature of our revenues, the trend is very positive in terms of diversification of the economy.
All genuine demand for FX will continue to be met. The state of the reserves remains resilient at over $30 billion.
At the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the governor, Dr. Emefiele, sounded his word of encouragement to operators. He stressed that regulatory efforts are assured at all levels of the economic volatility.
There is no need for us to panic, because a lot of models have been put in place. We've developed various scenarios and models where we look at what are some of those actions that the monetary and fiscal authorities will kick in as we attain various levels in the price of crude.
By the way, he constantly reminded investors on the need to retain their confidence in the economy, noting that the external reserves are resilient enough to buffer the economic shocks. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it on Business News tonight. We'll take a quick look at the global market figures for today. Please, News at 10 will continue very shortly. Stay with us.
First Bank. You first.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Julius Malema kicked out of South Africa's parliament. You join us again.